Hello and welcome to the Sports Doin with me, Kushag, and we've got a football panel here today. Sushil, Vijay, and of course Anurag here, the regulars on the TSD podcast. We've got a special episode here for you. I know a lot of publications did the team of the decade last year, considering we shifted from 19 to 20, and we've got a lot of I guess inclusive issues in terms of whether do you include the year 2010 or not. What we've done with, since of course TSD came into existence just around 6 months back, couldn't have done the 2020 bit. We're doing it in 2021. We're taking it from the year 2011 till 2020, and we're looking for a team of the decade. Just for the reference of our viewers, the formation that all of us have settled upon is 4-3-3, and we'll be going according to that particular formation. Towards the end of the video, though we've not had a chat around this before, but let's see if we all can settle on a manager of the decade as well. If we can come to consensus there, I'm sure that's a wild one because we've not discussed that. Considering how much of a lengthy discussion we've had on every position, I guess that will definitely take us into some extra time, Andra.
It will. It definitely will.
All right. So, provided my internet goes, let's carry on. We're talking about we started the goalkeeper of the decade, and the players that I would like to throw into the mix are, of course, Manuel Neuer being the standout goalkeeper of the decade. I would include the likes of Keylor Navas just on the sheer weight of the trophies, number of trophies he's won. The current best in the world, I'd say Alisson's just spent too little a time top of the charts in the world. So I wouldn't really put him there. Any other names? Ter Stegen?
Yeah, I was about to say Ter Stegen.
Ter Stegen. We can put De Gea as well. Prathamesh comes in with De Gea. De Gea is someone, in 2010, he was in the Europa League winning trophy.
I thought we weren't counting 2010, but okay.
All right, 2011, he moved to United and he was part of the Spain squad that won the Euros at least. He was not the first choice. That's a different thing altogether. Anurag, any other names that you'd like to throw into the fray when it comes to the keepers?
Karius? No, let's not. I think we've mentioned. I think we've mentioned all the names that potentially. Maybe Buffon to a greater. He even 2 decades later he'll be a part of the discussion. So I think it's fine. Yeah.
I know this is a very customary. Oh, this guy wearing this shirt and saying this thing, but the 2012 Champions League would not exist for Chelsea without that guy. So I have to say it.
Peter Cech. Yeah.
It was probably like the end of his career best, but what a time and what a way to do it. So I have to say that.
Yeah, of course. And he also, let's not forget, he broke the all-time Premier League clean sheet record as well while at Arsenal. And he's derided by some Arsenal fans, but for a couple of seasons he was pretty good at Arsenal as well. So
indeed.
He can be a part of the wider discussion probably, but I don't think we'll narrow him down to Cech. Just give me a and there is. I will start with it. My individual selection would be Manuel Neuer because for a little while during that decade, he did lose his position at the top of the world in terms of the goalkeepers and at the top of the charts, but he has managed to come back. I wouldn't say as well as he was in the past because I don't think he's at that level anymore, but he's at least playing in the best team in the world.
And he's old as well. So, he's 34.
Yeah, and it surely does have to count for something. And he was a Ballon d'Or finalist. There wasn't any Ballon d'Or this year, so I can't really say whether he was a Ballon d'Or finalist this year. Was he a finalist?
2014, when he won the World Cup.
Yes, he's talking about the 2014.
A World Cup and 2 treble wins. Beautiful.
Yes. So anyone else or part Vijay and Steve?
I think not. Yep.
Go ahead. I mean, I agree with the choice of Neuer, but I think I'd like to just put in a word for Keylor Navas. I think a lot of the reason why he's a part of the discussion at all is because of what he's won with Real Madrid. But I think a lot of people also discount his contributions into that team.
Indeed.
And I don't know what the reason is. I think Real Madrid fans are just jerks in general. They don't deserve the success that they get. But
focus on the stats, Sushil.
Yeah. I think in terms of talent, particularly when they won those three Champions Leagues back to back, I think he was absolutely brilliant for them. Obviously, like any goalkeeper, he had his ups and downs, but I think he's held to a much higher standard than maybe he should be. I think he's really good for them. But like Kushagu said, I think Neuer's been the standout performer of the decade, two trebles of World Cup. Can't really beat that. Buffon would have won it in the 2000s because he
Yeah.
won the World Cup that at that point of time. So for me, it's Manuel Neuer. No argument there.
Yeah, just another point about Navas. I think Real Madrid always wanted to replace him every season after season, even after
Yeah.
winning. There was David De Gea, there was Thibaut Courtois, always in the discussion, always in the mix. But I think it is great that they stuck to him and he gave them those trophies. But again, yeah, Manuel Neuer, totally out of discussion.
I'd agree with Neuer as well. And maybe my only thing to put or to add to what the discussion is he's probably the easiest one in the entire discussion of 11 players to have
Yeah,
that we can all agree on. I think every other position it might be more difficult, but this person's achievements, the way he performs, the fact that he's still relevant, maybe what 10 years later,
yeah.
like not even like relevant. I mean, like still relevant as the best. So it's just testament to this guy definitely being on this all-time great list.
And he's a partly a CDM as well. Yeah, so
Sweeper keeper.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's the easiest position sorted then, guys.
yeah.
Coming back to the fullbacks now. Uh, I don't think. I think we'll have a more lengthier discussion here. Who do you guys want to start with? Do you want to start with the left back or the right back first?
Right back, I think.
Yeah, it's more of a discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We look at right backs. The standout player once again is, of course, Dani Alves for the first half of the decade. If you're looking
Yes,
at that, it's Philip Lahm is also another name that we should at least mention. I know he's
definitely.
not part of the majority of the decade, so probably not get it. Kyle Walker is another name I'd like to throw into the mix. I know he's not been the best out and out left back, right back,
Okay.
but he's been a consistent high level performer over the entire decade, and you'll struggle to find such players who played out the entire decade this year. A lot of people have mixed match decades in 2000s, 2010s, and 2010 to 20. Beyond that, any names? We'll start with
Yeah.
Sushil here.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Carvajal is obviously someone who, the thing with Real Madrid, right? And I think we'll run into this issue with each position we look at, is how many of those performers are actually really standout performers and how many are just there because they won for Champions Leagues.
Yeah,
I think Carvajal is probably someone we can leave out for that reason. I
yeah.
don't think he was ever the
The
best
best.
right back on the planet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so for me, it's interesting you brought it up. I actually think Philip Lahm should be the right back because a lot of Dani Alves' contributions in the second half of the decade were just, I don't want to use a term, but lame duck contributions. He was just playing out his career. I don't think
yeah.
he was at that higher level for the second half. He was good for Pep Guardiola's Barcelona, but since then, I don't think he's been amazing. He still ends up on the FIFA World Player of Team of the Year
Every time.
list for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think things like that really inflate his value. He's not then that great for the second half of the decade. And so, if I'm just looking at the first half of the decade, where we can actually compare these two players, I think Lahm's a World Cup winner, right?
Treble.
Lahm's won a treble winning. He's a treble winning captain,
Yeah.
and he was widely considered to be the most intelligent player in the world.
Never
Right?
received a red card.
Never received a red card. Brilliant tactical mind. Played multiple positions. By the way, he also used to play in midfield.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, it has to be Philip Lahm. I think Danny Alves' peak was maybe the latter half of the last decade. So I'd take Philip Lahm over him any day.
But again, a similar point to I think of all the right backs that we're considering right now, their peak period or their entry period, it just makes them just a half a part of the decade,
Yeah.
and that's why my pick, who is one of my absolute favorite right backs, it's Joshua Kimmich. That
Hmm.
1 2 seasons when he was just, I think he was into his third season in Bayern. Was it the 17, 18, 18, 19? I can't really remember. That was when I was actually covering Bundesliga for a site, and I had to watch almost every game irrelevant, despite of me being interested or not interested. But there were some boring games. But Kimmich was such a live wire. He defensively, offensively, I think he almost had like 30 goal contributions in a season at one point. And yeah, again, Kimmich for me makes a great case. He's also a treble winner, not a World Cup winner. But again, as Sushil said, Philip Lahm in the first half of the decade, no, Kimmich in the second half. But if you really weigh in that sense, I think Lahm actually has the. If that, I think that's a good point. I was going to go very, very strong on Kimmich actually, but I think Sushil made a very decent point. I think I'm also slightly sliding towards Lahm.
Vijay?
I think the only person who I think I can break Sushil's argument is what about Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I
What
I
about
mean,
him?
yeah, go ahead, finish your point.
No, I'll ask you, like, you tell me why isn't he in the consideration?
The reason he's not in the consideration is I think his decade is probably going to be the decade that's coming, right? He's just had a couple of good seasons, and even in those seasons, he's been at times inconsistent, right? And when you're benchmarking that against someone like Lam or someone like Danny Alves, he
But
doesn't
given his
really
age,
pull
given
through.
his upstart,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
isn't that
but
like
that's
generational?
when we have this conversation in 2030. I am certain he will be part of it, right? Um, the only thing that's holding me back from naming him right now is the fact that he really took off in 2018, 2017. And I know, it's weird because so far the discussions we've had, we're including the people in the first half of the decade, but we're really penalizing the people in the second half of the
Which
decade,
is what I
like
wanted to
Kimmich,
bring
like
out.
Trent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wouldn't count him there. I think Lahm's miles ahead of him based on the performances of the last decade, so I'd still take Lahm over him.
What about
Aspilicueta.
in terms of
Uh,
revolutionizing the role of a right back? Couldn't you argue that TAA has done that to a much larger extent than Lam has to the position? Well, Lam might be a
I,
better right back in a traditional
Mhm.
sense, but in terms of
Right.
how old was he? Like 20 when he did this?
Philip Lam
no.
or
No,
Trent?
TAA, yeah, Trent.
18, 18
Yeah,
or 19.
This
18.
is sort
Yeah,
of
and
digressing
he.
into something else, isn't it?
No, I'm genuinely saying it shouldn't be so
Okay.
simple of a thing in terms
Yeah.
of like
I
what.
would, it's good you brought that up because I was going to save that argument for the other position. But I talk about it once we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
All
think it
right.
makes sense.
So if I have this right, are we actually selecting a man who's been retired for 7 years?
Yes. Because those 3 years were by far the best performances of a right back this
I
decade.
think he retired in 2015.
14, right after the. Oh
14,
yeah,
yeah, after the World Cup.
14,
After the World
14.
Cup.
After the
14
World
he
Cup,
was
he played
done.
another season for
Yeah,
Bayern.
he
So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
played
yeah.
for
Correct. He's
Bayern.
correct.
15,
yeah.
yes. So we give him one more season. All right, cool. I cannot disagree with Philip Lahm. I really
Yeah.
cannot. He was a dream for a manager, and what a captain. And let's not forget the fact that he was a captain. So
Yeah.
that surely has got to add points there. And to add to Sushil's point and Vijay's point, Trent has.
Oh, just as a minor correction, Philip Lahm was a
Thing
part of
is,
Bayern Munich until 2017.
Yeah.
oh yes, he retired from international football. He didn't
In
retire from club
2014, yeah.
football. Wow. Okay. Correction on my end as well. Lam
Yeah.
is the undisputed choice.
Yeah.
That makes his
He's
case
the undisputed
stronger.
Fantastic.
choice then. There is no
Fantastic.
discussion there.
Yep.
Coming back to this, in terms of revolutionizing the position, I think we can go slightly further back because I would say once the left back was revolutionized, right back was automatically revolutionized. Trent has come
Fullback
after Dani
eventually.
Alves. He's not come before Dani Alves. He's not come before the likes of Cafu. He's not come before the likes of Maicon.
Roberto Carlos.
Yeah, he's not come
But
before the
to
likes
do
of
it at
Dennis Irwin.
18 and win the
Oh,
Champions
so
League
what?
and
So
the
what?
PL,
I mean,
what do you mean
he
so
he will.
what? It's not like
He's
a
a
passport
generational
office. He's
talent,
applied to the office
my
and he's
friend.
got a passport. Like, come on, he's worked hard, man.
Okay.
We didn't, like, most of us didn't get laid at his age. He won the Champions League. What the fuck?
Okay. Those two aren't accurate comparisons, but all right. Yes.
I mean, I
I'll
agree
say,
to what you're saying,
I'm
dude.
not.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, as Sushil said, as you said yourself, he's just had 3 years in the decade, so it's almost impossible for us select him because even Alfonso Davies has had 2 years now in this decade. So do we go on selecting him? Ashraf Hakimi has had 4 years in this decade. Even though he's not won as much as Trent, but I feel Ashraf
He's a
Hakimi is a
talented guy.
standout right back. He's a
So my
standout
point
talent.
being, these guys are performing at a level at an age unseen. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of my point. Like Lam
Yeah.
for sure, he's done it like
Do we
that.
include Mbappe then?
No,
Do we
I
include
mean,
Mbappe? My simple
no,
question.
I'm
no,
going to include Mbappe eventually, but yeah, that's
for
right.
sure. But like, I'm not
Okay.
saying that
All
these guys.
right. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Fair enough. Okay, okay.
Sir, no. Carry on. Carry on. Finish your argument. Come on.
No,
That
my
was it.
argument is just that I think age is a factor when you do compare, because you can say that the development of these players, the level that they're performing in, it has to be taken into consideration and not just say that their decade is coming. I mean, it's too slight an argument to say that their future is bright, because you can lose your shit. Like I think Wayne Rooney was freaking amazing, but until like I remember he left United at 28, which is supposed to be the prime of your a
No.
footballer's
He didn't
career,
leave
right?
United at 28.
He was far older. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
He
was
left
he?
at 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left at 31.
Oh, okay. Or
Yeah.
I think, okay,
He's
sorry, the
35
rumors to
right now.
switch, or
Yeah.
where he stopped being a striker or something like that. But okay,
Yeah, so he basically stopped being the central striker at around 28. Yes, 27,
yeah,
28,
basically
28,
losing
28.
your prime
His
essentially.
body
Yeah.
went. His body.
So
So his prime was like 4 years ahead, like 4 years faster than what regular players' prime was. So his prime
yes,
started from 18 but ended at like 26,
I
27.
say that you could be seeing the prime of these young players as well. Like you can't just take it for
Precisely.
granted that
I think the way
after
Trent
25.
is, he will at least play for 5 more years at the top as compared to Rooney. He just
Also,
doesn't like
another
alcohol that much.
Yeah.
another
Helps.
reason why I wouldn't, and this is the final point about the right back position. I think another reason why I think Trent probably shouldn't be in the discussion is because I don't think he's going to end up at that position for the majority of his career.
I
Where
think
would
I
you?
think it's
I
gonna
think
be
he's,
more of a Kimmich situation,
Gimmick
isn't it?
situation. Yeah.
yeah, I think so
Ah,
too. Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, left back, boys, left back.
No,
Not
Options.
Sandro.
Not. No. Not
Sandro
Alex
is a
Sandro.
it's a very FIFA choice. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
Well
why
put.
don't you guys go first? Because I think I'm going to make a very different
Compelling
argument.
argument. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys go first.
My
James
case.
Milner.
So I think I'm
I think
I'm going with
11
the.
James Milner and we can go to sleep now.
I'm making the obvious choice. I'm going with Marcelo. Uh, one of the most outstanding footballers to look at. It's not. It's you just don't look at his position. It's not just the tricks and everything that he does. I know defensively he's not the greatest of contributors, but he's always had either a Varane or a Ramos. Making those recovery runs, and he's always had that support, obviously. But again, uh, just he always added that X factor to that left side of Real Madrid. Marcelo and Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo. You cannot discount the fact that this combination was incredibly pivotal. I mean, I cannot stress enough on it. It was incredibly pivotal in making Real Madrid the champion side that we've talked about. I mean, we are going to talk about that side that we witnessed in those three. You know, if it's Real Madrid against any team in the world, they're going to win. It was almost like even if they're playing Juventus, even if they're playing Bayern Munich, they're going to win the game. It was almost like that. Any team defeating them was actually sort of a surprise, even the biggest of teams. And Marcelo was very very pivotal in making Real Madrid that you know a scary aside. So I would go with Marcelo in this position.
All right, Vijay.
I would. I mean, I only have something to add to, because I agree with what Anurag said. I do think it's Marcelo. In the way that you can say that that Real Madrid team had Ronaldo as its crown jewel,
Yeah.
but he was the player that every other team knew that they couldn't get. But with Marcelo, he was that player that every team wishes they had, because you know it's like, can we get that right back? Can we, like, that's the gold standard, that's the crown jewel for a particular position. Because I don't know. He's like when you play chess, he's the rook. He
Yeah.
goes side to side and straight up and down, and he does that extremely well. So I'd go with Marcelo as well for sure.
Sushil,
Sushil.
for the controversy, come on.
I disagree with Marcelo because I think a lot of people discount how poor he was defensively. Even in the seasons where they did win the Champions League, there were a lot of situations where he got them into trouble by the way he was playing. And it wasn't just, oh, look, I don't disagree with you guys on the fact that with Ronaldo on that side of the pitch, they were an offensive juggernaut. It's
Yeah.
just that the way I remember it, and I could be, I may be misremembering things, but I remember there were so many instances in pivotal games where he was the reason why Madrid conceded a goal or, just got into trouble. And Ronaldo used to bail them out. See what I did there? Um, so it got covered up. But honestly,
Smart.
I think a lot of people. A lot of people really tend to forget how poor he was defensively at times, and so
He
that's why
wasn't that
I don't
poor.
want. I mean, like I said, I just
Yeah.
remember these really pivotal moments where he messed things up. So coming back to who I would pick in his place, I was going to make an argument for Robertson, but I think someone who might be more appropriate is actually David Alaba. People forget how great he was for the first half of the decade when he sort of came into the Bayern Munich team as a youngster, and he is everything that Marcelo is not, and everything that or maybe not as good offensively, but defensively he was amazing. And I think he was one of the people, sort of like Davies is currently. He was one of those youngsters who was really, pivotal for that first Bayern win. And so I want to go with David Alaba. Just before I pass it off to Kushagra, I do want to make the case for Andy Robertson because that's what I was intending to do. Um, I think,
The
and this
most
is
complete
probably,
fullback in the world right now, Andy Robertson,
yeah,
I
yeah,
would say.
exactly. That's what I was going to say. In terms of, and this is why I like Robertson better than Trent. He
Everyone
may not
does.
have he may not have a delivery as good as Trent does in terms of crossing, but defensively he is miles ahead of Trent.
Yeah.
I have literally seen him make defensive mistakes only twice in his Liverpool career, twice or thrice, and he's been there for 3 or 4 seasons. So he's someone who I am certain is amazing, and the way he progresses the ball forward, like Vijay was saying, someone who transforms a position, he is that guy for me. The only thing that's sort of holding him back is the fact that he's only had 3 seasons at Liverpool this decade. But yeah, I'd probably go with Alaba and then Robertson before I even consider Marcelo. I think my Marcelo would probably go into my left wing position behind Ronaldo rather than left back.
There is no position over there for, for this
I
man.
know, so he doesn't come into the team.
Just because this is probably the only opportunity for me to say this, but since Sushil brought up the whole switching left back, right back thing, Aspiguleta, this is unfortunately his
Right
decade,
back.
and
Yeah.
that's how I would say it.
I actually mentioned
He's
it, but yeah.
he's actually he's never been bad. Even now, he's not bad. He's just old, and he won the Premier League playing out of position. So I mean,
He played as a centre back, right, for a
he
season.
played left back. He was a
Left back,
right
I'm
back.
sorry.
He
Yeah.
came into the club after we won the CL, and he's just been I mean, the only one of the few players since that golden generation to have a spine to be able to lead a Chelsea side to say that, guys,
he's he's
let's
your
not
captain,
lose. Yeah.
and he's
Yeah.
your captain.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have
So
so this
I
is the
think I think
opportunity.
as Piliqueta for sure should be mentioned here in this. I think he be probably one of the most underrated,
Footballers. Yeah.
Yeah.
genuinely good footballers in the world. Along with him, another guy that we probably didn't mention in the right back discussion, and of course, we're talking about Aspi as a left back right now. I just thought of that guy is Zabaleta again. If you're talking playing halves of the decade, I would think Pablo Zabaleta, would be a part of the
Makes a good
discussion
Ooh.
at
choice.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He reminds
yeah.
me from
But moving on,
of
I would.
Tob from House. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring that up, but please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah,
It's
he does.
late.
He does
He
actually.
does.
He
Yeah.
does. He does. He
Yeah.
does actually. It is. It is.
So we
It's
haven't
it's is
decided
it
on the
is it
left back. Why
Marcelo
is it so
versus
silent?
Alaba?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
Marcelo
that's
versus
what I'm saying.
Alba. Yeah.
Yes, it's Marcelo versus Alaba, right? So it's basically Alaba is actually replacing Marcelo in a way, in
I
6 months,
go
isn't
with I go with Alaba.
Prathamesh says Alba. No one cares,
So I'm
Prathamesh.
definitely saying
Marcelo.
Marcelo because Prathamesh said Alaba.
it?
No other reason. I don't think he's that great a left back actually.
All right.
Okay.
So do I get to decide? Do I get to decide between
You
Marcelo and
sorry.
Alaba?
Yeah,
Yep, you do.
it's in your hand.
I really like Alaba, man. Like it's very irritating. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll give it to Marcelo just on the basis of the trophies because once again that has to come into consideration. And I agree with Sushil. His defensive discrepancies are being hidden here,
Yeah.
and he was a
Even
liability
I
at the
mentioned
back.
that. Yeah.
But one
Yeah.
thing I feel that is affecting our perception is a bit of recency bias as well towards Marcelo because the thing is he's been bad over the last 2-3 years. He wasn't bad during that 5-6 year period in which they won 4 Champions League. Bro. Like he wasn't a complete and utter liability. He had the left side on lockdown,
I
and as
wouldn't
Vijay
like
said,
Sushil, you said the
often
word poor. I wouldn't say that.
yeah, he wasn't poor. And the other thing is, as Vijay said, Marcelo truly was for a long period of time the player other clubs wished they could have. They knew they couldn't have Ronaldo, but they could have had someone like Marcelo, and he's right because he was consistently up and down. He was basically doing on the left what Alves claimed to be doing on the right, and which kind of stopped. Once he left Barca, but he did claim, and as Sushil said, his end, later half in Europe was a PR activity. He just wanted to break that trophies record,
Yeah.
right? That's all he wanted to do, right? Which Zlatan will not take it back from him anyway. No? So it's very funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I guess we've got Marcelo and Lam and Neuer. This is like a Real Madrid versus Barca semi-final that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Centre
Just
Yeah.
center
halves.
backs.
Centre
Sergio
backs. So
Ramos and
Center
anyone
half.
else you want. Yeah.
wow. So it's
Yeah. As
basically
much as I
I don't like him. That's sort of
yeah,
the
he
most
has to
obvious
be
choice.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He has
He's
to
like
the
be
a
other
there.
one
good
is always
villain
be
in a
there.
movie.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's a,
then this same thing. Do we argue for Van Dijk now? Do we?
See, one of the reasons, I put up a post on Facebook which sort of instigated the topic for this entire video. One of the reasons why I put Van Dijk was uh, the way I remembered Liverpool pre Van Dijk was a team. You remember that game, Sushil, where City Liverpool 4-3 game, which was like one of the most
Yeah.
pulsating games.
Yeah.
Salah chipped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the third goal and the second goal they conceded, most Premier League defenses would not have conceded those goals. It's like they had 8 versus 3 at one point. City ended up scoring three with three players in the box, 8 Liverpool players. What I remembered of Liverpool defense was their absolute shit. And he came in, he elevated them, like legit elevated them. I think that impact was, at least in the Premier League, because that's what I primarily watch, that was something worth considering, although it was for a shorter period of time when you consider the decade. But yeah, I
Right.
think even if we end up on deciding on Van Dijk, I wouldn't be totally disappointed. Yes, as a United fan, maybe, but again, in a footballing perspective, I think the
nowhere,
impact was absolutely fantastic.
nowhere near United is apart from De Gea could have even been mentioned,
Yeah,
and that's already over.
we
My
did
friend.
not even
So-
mention. Yeah, that's
so
great.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, okay, Ramos is one pick. You guys have to give me another. Anurag has put Virgil van Dijk in the mix.
Yeah.
We'll come with Sushil. Sushil, is this Liverpool loving going on?
I mean, he made a very compelling argument. I
Of
find it
course he
really
did.
hard
Yeah,
to.
Of course
it
he
does.
did. Do you want?
Don't
Do you
make me.
feel like?
Don't
Do
make
you
me.
feel like you
cheat.
want to go back to Hyderabad just to give him a hug?
I won't go with Van Dijk for similar reasons.
Yeah.
If we had this
Prathamesh
discussion,
is shouting Chiellini on top
Yeah.
of the rooftop.
so Chiellini's out as well. But my point is, if we were having this discussion a year or two from now, that would make it, I would be much happier with what Anurag says. It's just that it's been such a short period. And if we're looking at, just a couple of years, 2, 3 years, I would also want to include Gerard Piqué, who had a brilliant start to the decade,
Yeah.
but we're not including him. So If you look at the entire decade, I actually wanted to pick one of the Bayern Munich centre backs, either Boateng or Hummels. I actually like Boateng
Yeah.
because I think he's been playing at a much higher level than Hummels for a much longer period of time. And if you look at his CV over the last decade, World Cup winner, won two Champions
Treble.
Leagues. Yeah,
Two trebles.
exactly. So two trebles. And so that's as close as it gets to, just slotting in the other Real Madrid centre back in there. So I'm going to go with Boateng.
Makes a good case. Vijay?
All right, Vijay.
I have to take a pass on this. I honestly have no opinion on who another great centre back is. I'm
Wow.
sorry. So if that's Ramos, then who would go best with him? Who played with him Real Madrid all the time?
Varane
Pepe and
and
Varane.
Varane.
Oh
But
yeah, what about Varane?
Varane's a
Yeah,
good
why
case,
is
actually.
Varane not?
Varane's a good
Yeah.
case, yeah.
World Cup winner,
That's
four
what.
champions.
That's who I was gonna pick.
Yeah.
So
In fact,
Yeah,
if I had
I
to
would
pick
agree with that.
one of the Real Madrid defenders, I would pick Varane. But yeah, go on. Go on.
yeah.
I've
Yeah.
made my case.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think
Such
you just
a
have a club bias now, Sushil. I think
Yeah.
your truths are different, but yeah,
Wow.
I guess I choose Varane because for the same reason, like I think somebody needs to always instigate his name, but once it's there, they're like, oh yeah, Varane for sure. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
He's that guy in FIFA you don't realize why he's in the subs when you start with your team.
Very good point. Yeah.
yeah. So Varane.
Okay, Varane.
Okay,
Should
okay,
we
okay.
like? Is
Let's.
it a toss?
Okay, okay. No, no. I do want to read out a few names that he's put out. He's put out Company, which definitely a massive discussion there. He's put
Yeah.
out PK. Why are we not considering Gerard PK? I don't know.
Gerard Piqué is a
Uh,
fantastic footballer. I think every time people compare him
Diego
to
Godin,
Ramos,
Diego Godin,
it sort of harms his reputation.
and Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva,
Thiago,
and of
oh,
course he's put Chiellini as well. And I think there are a lot of discussions to be had there. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can blindly go for Varane there.
I wanted to say
Big,
Thiago Silva, but the it's an instant dismissal saying his decade was earlier.
no, no.
no, I mean
No,
I think
he won quite a lot with PSG. Dude. He
I
did move in
think AC
2011.
Milan was where he.
So he moved in
But
2012 to
yeah,
PSG,
yeah,
and
and he
he
won
had
the
won.
he won the
He won
Serie
the
A with
Scudetto.
AC Milan.
He won the
correct.
Scudetto in
Yeah,
2011.
yeah,
He moved in 2012. From then till he left, he won the league every year, apart from that one Monaco year.
yeah.
And he did not reach the Champions League final because he was not part of the squad. But I don't know. He's won trophies. I mean, I would personally pick Godin over Thiago Silva.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
think
think that's yeah. Sorry,
Sushil,
Anurag, go ahead.
just imagine coming up
Yeah.
against Godin and Ramos. You'll probably come
it's
with a
oh my
broken
god,
jaw
it's
and a
scary
broken
already.
nose.
Yeah.
You know, you'd already voluntarily break your own finger and say, "I'm out."
Why I would actually go. I think Thiago Silva. Why he makes for a compelling case. I know this. It's not like just because we've picked this team and they're going to go and play. It's not. It's not like that. But most if you look at all the epic centre back partnerships, it's always like you have to consider it that way, right? Nemanja Vidic was that brutal guy, and Rio Ferdinand was a classy guy. If you look at it in that sense,
Yeah,
Ramos and Silva, it makes for a very very compelling case.
true. I agree.
Yeah.
I changed my vote to Thiago Silva.
Just because it's not Real Madrid. Fuck you, Sushil.
I put Ramos in there.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
God.
it was Varane earlier.
His heart is half sinking every time he says Ramos. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I fucking
Bro, why are we not considering? Why are we not considering Vansong Company? He just left in 2018, didn't he?
I think
I'd say Premier League
yeah.
he's top, but outside of it, I don't know. I think he's not proven that part of his career yet
He
compared
did
to the
come
others.
third with Belgium.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
Brazil
but
couldn't.
I don't know. Company, he's a brilliant player. He was their captain, etc. But I think there's so many people who perform much better than him this decade in that
Yeah,
position.
if you're not taking Chiellini, honestly, like I would
Yeah,
pick Chiellini over Thiago Silva. Chiellini played in a better league. Come on, like
Yeah.
I'm not having
Makes
this.
sense.
And Chiellini reached the Champions League final as well. And I will take
Twice.
the fraudster nonsense against Bonucci because I do feel
Yeah.
he's had a fabulous career on the back of Chiellini.
Yeah.
But Chiellini, I wouldn't. I know, despite all this nonsense, I think he's as far as left-footed centre halves go, he's been the best left-footed centre half in the world
Yeah,
Premier League.
makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
See,
I
yeah.
would
it's
put
just one of those
Chiellini with
discussion.
Ramos.
It
There
keeps
There are
swinging.
too
It
many
keeps swinging.
options.
Yeah, it's too many
I
good
too
would
many
options.
pick.
options.
My pick would be Chiellini. The three of you can give me your picks, and if we have got any kind of consensus, we'll go with that.
Let's say we pick four and we say two people start and who are subs.
No, yeah, we can't do that
Hmm.
because
But
Ramos
yeah,
is already nailed down.
while I think that's what has been happening, right? When I was mentioning Boateng, we forgot that Varane existed. When we were talking Varane, we forgot Silva existed. When we were talking Silva, we forgot this guy existed. So it's that
There
sort
are
of
too
a
many
case.
people. There are too
Yeah,
many
it's
people.
just too many amazing centre backs. And sorry to our viewers, we cannot really compel all the
Reach a
club fans. I think
consensus.
it's going to be one very harsh stick on one of these people. But I think, yeah, I think the what Kushagra said is very true. Bonucci survived on Chiellini, and so did Juventus and every team that he played for. I think that
Chiellini
really is
and
a very
Barzagli, I wouldn't take the credit away from Barzagli as well. Last time Barzagli was good.
See, a fact that Bonucci went to Milan, realized he can't live his life without him, and came
One
back, that
year,
speaks about him
all it took.
already. Yeah. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Chiellini and
Ramos, go for it.
Ramos, yeah, that's too good.
Chiellini and Ramos, तो lock
Yep.
किया जाए. Final answer.
Yeah.
KBC is back on the television.
Yeah, I
So
think
I
The
we
hope.
only thing
find
I
we
can say is I'm not. I mean, fuck Ramos, but I'm not offended by Chiellini being in there.
yeah.
Like that's all I can say.
All
Even
right.
if you had put Silva or anyone else, I wouldn't be offended that they're
Yeah.
there. So
None of these
yeah.
options are disagreeable, to be
Bad,
honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, no doubt there. All right, we move on. We move on to the midfield now. The three in the midfield. Do you guys want to divide it in terms of holding midfielder and two central midfielders?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
That would be good.
All right. So as far as the we can see television on Anurag's background. Wait for the strike. When we talk about the holding midfielders, my most obvious choice is N'Golo Kante. Beyond that, you've got to mention Casemiro. You've got to mention. I don't know if you will call Cruz a holding midfielder. I think it's more of a box midfielder. He play front two. Beyond that, if you go Sergio Busquets, one of the standout choices. Fernandinho, again, second half of the decade,
Legend,
fabulous.
yeah.
But
Is
he's not
Vidal considered a
that's the
holding
highest.
midfielder?
Yes,
Box to box.
yes, I would.
Yeah.
Is Nainggolan? What do you consider Nainggolan?
He was more of
Box
an
to box.
box to box. Yeah.
Inhuman.
Inhuman. Yes.
Yeah.
He smokes like packs a day. I don't know how he plays football. Dude.
Yes, that he does. He
Yeah, he
used to
does.
smoke while he was injured and out watching the stadium match. Match in the stadiums, He used to
Yeah.
smoke in the
And
Roma
be a
Stadium,
top class
Stadio
Champions
Olimpico.
League playing footballer. Like I don't know how you do that. Like that's
Yeah.
defying science for me.
Hey, that Belgium's
He's
Renaissance period. It
He's
started
got
with
iron lungs,
Where?
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His lungs have mohawks, I think. But
Anurag,
sorry, we
what were you
digress.
saying?
Yeah.
The Belgians Renaissance period, like the coming of a new age team. He was one of the pillars of that team, wasn't he? Like,
Started with him.
yeah,
Yeah.
good case. But again,
True.
Casemiro
Again,
for me.
I won't take of course Nainggolan because
Yeah,
obvious reasons. I would put forward N'Golo Kante as my best DM over this decade. If there was an award for best midfielder of the decade, I would put N'Golo Kante again. So
Yeah.
you can't call me biased or whatever. So Anurag, you can come with your own choice there.
yeah. I get the Conte point, but I think as much as I love Casemiro, I think if you think a little more about it, the likes of Fabinho, Fernandinho, these are people who also contributed on the offensive front a lot as well. They were great deep lying playmakers as well. With Casemiro, that wasn't much of a case, but I think you could safely say defensively he was. I think defensively among all the names that you can mention, he's perhaps the best. Maybe I think he was just a beast. It was very difficult to get past him on in some of the seasons. Yes, I understand there were seasons like before the the Real Madrid domination period started, he wasn't that good. And
Oh
in the last
yeah,
2 seasons, he hasn't been that good. But when the team was doing well defensively, I think he was huge because uh, that's a team where both the fullbacks are always high up the pitch, and it's always Ramos, Casemiro, and Varane saving the grace. So yeah, that's why I would make a case for Casemiro there.
yeah. My only point would be, I just feel like Conte has had a longer spread of years that he's
Yeah,
been at the top, and
yeah.
also he's won more varied trophies, and he's won it all essentially,
World Cup,
except for
yeah,
the Champions League, which
yeah.
except for the Champions League, he's won everything.
Oh, he's
Vijay,
won a Europa. I forgot.
Yeah.
yeah.
I actually, I mean, hands down, N'Golo Kante for me, but Sergio Busquets would actually be a close second, even though I hate his guts. So, but
I don't
N'Golo,
know if there is a single fan who likes Sergio Busquets
his
apart
wife
from
is
all
Yeah.
the
doubtful,
foolish in
but
Barca.
okay. Yeah, no, but N'Golo Kante for me, you take away. I think nobody's done that where um, they won PFA Player of the Year twice with two
Twice with two
different
different
teams.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
mean
they were
it's
a DM.
yeah, I know, and this I'm saying the names mentioned by Anurag, they're all brilliant midfielders, and maybe considering N'Golo Kante as a holding midfielder is wrong. He's probably a more ball recovery kind of a person, and I'm just
Non-stop
saying the
runner.
value of what he does to a team
Yeah.
is automatically. It's like, when you have that Nor soup, you add water. That's what N'Golo Kante does to a team in terms of giving it freaking like value. Because you take away N'Golo Kante, you take away Chelsea's one title, you take away Leicester's title. You know for a
You take
fact
France's World Cup.
those
Yeah.
aren't happening without that one player. That's how pivotal he is to those performances. The team has to play in a completely different way when he's not there in the team, and I think Chelsea's last season was like testament to that when he had like his first battle with the nature. Like God is saying, okay, you can't run that much, finally, like stop. But I'm glad that most of us on the panel are on the same page in terms
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
N'Golo.
think, yeah, and I agree with N'Golo Kante as well. I think Casemiro is a good player, but N'Golo for me, I just want to,
Yeah.
maybe pivot a little bit in terms of this defensive midfield discussion because one of the players that I really respect who had an amazing first half of the decade in the position was Pirlo. I
Oh,
think the season when they reached the final and even the Antonio Conte
era.
era, that
Yeah.
entire period, I think we talked about when we were talking about the fullbacks transformative players, right?
Yeah.
He was that transformative player, and I think a lot of modern defensive midfielders have transformed their game around what he used to do with that position.
And
So
also talking about Pirlo, the 2012 Euros,
yeah,
he was the best player of that tournament, man. I was
agreed,
unbelievable, unbelievable.
agreed. And so I think Kante takes up again. This is recency bias to a large extent. Kante takes up a lot of the oxygen in the discussion because he was so dominant in the second half of that decade. But I think in terms of their craft and the way they played in the first half of the decade, Andre Pirlo was just insane. And don't forget, he was already past 30 when he entered the decade, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, just hats off to him. But yeah, if I had to pick a player, I'd go with Kante too. I
Kante
think
too.
yeah, yeah.
It just feels like
So
a situation where they would vote for each other, Kante and
yeah,
Pirlo.
Yeah,
Like those
both
guys, they
very
just
nice
like that.
people, and
Yeah.
they're both such liked footballers as well. Like, uh, it's like one of those cases where everyone loves them, and he played for Milan and Juventus, didn't he? And still,
Inter, Milan, and
and Juventus.
Juventus.
Oh God,
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
And
So I
still has
think
such
Nobody's
a
pissed
great
off.
goodwill.
Nobody's that pissed off.
Yeah,
Everybody understood.
yeah. He's just a nice guy.
I,
Yeah,
Yeah, so we have a defensive midfielder then, I guess.
yeah. It's Angolo Conte, Conte.
Conte. Oh, love that song.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
we move to the two center mids now.
the juicy bits.
Again,
I
I
honestly feel like
don't.
this is KBC and Prathamesh is the computer.
Yeah, he is.
Before I say it, he's got the
The
he's got the
options.
options ready on the go and everything else. So he's all ready. Anyway, I'll mention the names that he's mentioned. It's Cruz, Modric, Saul. Saul is a tough one for me.
Yeah,
Iniesta, David Silva, De Bruyne, Muller. Muller, is he a CM? Is he a CM? What is he? Toure, Yaya
exactly.
Toure
I
again.
know the two I'm picking.
Yeah,
Oh, you already know.
yeah,
All
Yep,
right. So
yep.
let's start with you. Let's
Uh,
start with you.
yeah,
It's Tony Cruz and Thiago Alcantara.
All right.
I mean, I can explain why.
yeah. Obviously,
Cruz
you
is,
make a good case.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
this
are
guy.
either of them in Liverpool or were they in Liverpool? No, right?
One of them is in Liverpool.
Yeah, right.
I
That
think,
That's it.
Thiago is the Thiago is talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
but
I
Alcantara.
disagree with that guy. Yeah.
I'll come to Thiago the second half of the explanation. With Tony Cruz, I think, like all of the other Real Madrid players, the trophies are there. And unlike all the other Real Madrid players, he also, or except Varane, I guess, he also has a World Cup to boot. So in a lot of ways, he's had the most amazing decade in terms of trophies. In terms of skill, I have
Won a treble
uh,
with Bayern Munich as well.
won a treble with Bayern Munich. He's actually had the best trophy haul of the decade.
I
And
think in this
not
team, yes, yeah.
yeah. And in terms of the balls in the guy to leave that Bayern Munich team to go and join Real Madrid and then
25.
do it again 4 times is just insane. Brilliant passer of the ball, brilliant vision. I think someday he'll be a great coach as well. So that's Tony Cruz. I think you can say pretty much the same thing about Thiago Alcantara minus the trophy haul. I think in his case, what really impresses me is in the first half of the decade and the second half to a large extent, he's been a player who's been called in to fill Xavi's shoes in
Yeah.
the Spanish national team, which he's done to a large degree. And also, he's been amazing in that Bayern Munich midfield for an extended period of time. He's performed at a high level for an extended period of time. He was by far well, not by far, but he was the best midfielder at the tail end of this decade, according to me. Right when Modric and Cruz and all were sort of flailing, he kept that performance level up and he won the Champions League with Bayern. So it's these two guys for me.
Makes sense.
All
As far as it's always been a tricky case for me between Tony Cruz and Luka Modric because, not to forget, he's a Ballon d'Or winner. He's the only Ballon d'Or winner among all the midfield names that we're mentioning. He's the one who broke the Ronaldo Messi duck, and I know there are a lot of people who put out some stats like he only has these many goals, these many assists, so he did not
That doesn't
precisely
matter.
deserve. And
Yeah.
I really do not buy into that argument. I think that particular year especially he was playing football at a level very few people did. So I think for me my personal choice would be, I actually like Tony Cruz a lot more. And in one of the Facebook posts I put, that's a very personally biased post, and I put Saul there because I really admire that guy's work rate, and he got far less credit than what he deserves because he plays for a team that no one gives a shit about. So yeah,
why,
that's fine.
why why do we not if you're including Saul, why are you not including Koke?
But because
Makes
underrated is
makes
not the
sense.
same as
Yeah, yeah,
underrated is not the
yeah.
same as the best.
Exactly.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
Yeah,
I said I'm not
absolutely.
bringing him into this discussion. That is a personally totally biased. अरे accept कर रहा हूँ biased है अभी जाने दो. Why are you getting technical? So again, my personal choice would be, it'll be very difficult to put Cruz out of this, but I would go with Modric and Iniesta because Iniesta again, a footballing genius. What do you talk about the guy? He's just unbelievable. My choice would be
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we've got one guy sorted. Who's the other guy?
No, Sushil, what are the names that you give? Tony Cruz and?
Thiago.
Somebody we don't care about. Yeah.
All
So
right.
it's
So it's
four
Tony
names.
Kroos and Thiago for Sushil. Is
Yeah.
it the same for the two of you as well?
Mine is Modric and Iniesta.
Wow. Vijay?
It's open.
I agree with Sushil on Cruz, but I really and this could be just a personal opinion, but I really love Yaya Toure.
Yeah.
I love Yaya Toure because he like you said,
So
he's
we're considering him as a box to box now.
no. I
Yeah.
think the fact that what I love about him is I think
He's
Wenger
everything.
said it best that when he was in Arsenal, he didn't click because we didn't know which position to play him in. Like he was just he could play them all and they couldn't do it. And City and Barcelona did find a way. He played beautifully at as a deep lying midfielder in Barcelona. But I think what City got out of him was the fact that I think every 60 minutes when they were losing, he would play. But after the 60th minute, there would be a sub who would come hold their midfield together, and Yaya Toure was given
He would be
license to
released.
But
Yeah.
destroy the opposition. And no other player, I mean, I could see who you would fear that way. And I think the only other player I've heard Yaya Toure say he was scared of in that way was Messi, where there was this lovely anecdote. He said like when you're in the tunnel with Messi, he'll look at you in your eyes and he say, "I'm going to nutmeg you this game." And and I just find that imagery so hilarious. Yaya Toure is shitting his pants because I know Messi's going to nutmeg me this game. But the
Oh
fact that it's
god.
because it is Yaya Toure, right? I don't know. Like I just love the fact that he can do that switch from defense to offense, and I think that's something modern day midfielder is very rare to see. I think these days.
So she
I mean, yeah, just to I don't agree with the Yaya Toure for the simple reason that I don't think his peak was that long.
Yeah.
I think he had 1 or 2 seasons where he was amazing, and apart from that, he was pretty much, either Guardiola's bitch or he was just. He retired when 15, 16. So
he didn't get a
that's
birthday
what.
cake, man. Come on, give
Yeah.
credit
I can definitely say
Yeah.
Srinivas is not going to watch this video.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's an amazing
Yeah,
player.
No,
he totally is. He
there's
But
a
totally is.
player. There's a player whose omission is glaringly obvious. I
Yeah.
just feel like Kevin
Mhm.
De Bruyne has not even made it to a discussion here. Like,
Nah, man. I
come
mean,
on, boys. Like, he joined Chelsea 2012, and he was
I'll tell you
he was like,
why. I'll tell you why I don't like Kevin De Bruyne's name being brought
Color
up
of
in
his
this
shirt.
discussion. No, not the color of his shirt. Look, I have great respect for Man City, but at the end of the day, for each and every position we've
but
looked at so
but the
far, we've
respect
talked
keeps
about
flipping, right?
we've talked about what the players want, right? We've talked about. Al- I think we've
Individual
put more of
ability.
a premium, yeah. And so in those terms, I don't see De Bruyne as necessarily better than someone like say Cruz or Modric, and Cruz and Modric have won way more
No,
than
no,
him.
I would
So
definitely pick Cruz. I think
Yeah.
Cruz
yeah,
is the common theme in amongst all four of our
Yeah.
Yep,
choices.
yep.
Won't be
Prathamesh
disappointed.
mentions David Silva again. David Silva, I won't think
same
this was his
reason.
peak
He
decade.
was beautiful, but again, not to the
He wasn't
extent.
the main
Yeah.
player in City itself. I think Yaya Toure has more of a foothold there than David Silva.
Yeah.
Uh, I would pick just because I think he's been at the top level. 2012 is when he moved to Real Madrid. Pick Modric. I'd
Yeah.
put Modric next to Cruz. Those will be my two choices.
They're
Just
both in Real
incredible that
Madrid,
we
right?
picked
Cruz
Yeah.
and
the
Modric.
Cruz
Yeah.
and we're basically picking a Real Madrid team.
Yeah.
We've had like what? This is the fourth player. If we pick both of them, it'll be four
Come on,
Real
man!
Madrid
Like, come
players.
on, we gotta. I'm just looking at the
But we
options
can't
and
make the other players
trying to
better,
think of
Kushagar. Like we
Yeah,
can't do
exactly. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I think that's a fair
Yeah, I
enough
mean,
point. Yeah,
वो
that's a
भी
fair
तो
enough
होगा
point.
यार मतलब
Yeah.
मुझे तो honestly रियाल के अलावा कोई प्लेयर ही नहीं समझ में आ रहा है
No, I'm
No,
telling you,
let's
don't take
let's re-
Modric, take Thiago.
let's reverse engineer our thought process, and this is Real Madrid's transfer poll, like transfer strategy. Like, let's
yeah
choose
but
the world 11 guys.
Sushil, I
Vijay
actually want to think about Bayern's midfield from the 2012-13 treble, and I come back to Toni Kroos, who's a Real Madrid player again.
no
Yeah,
That's the case.
Cruz has to be there. He's right.
Yeah,
Cruz has to be
obviously.
there.
Cruz is
It's
for
just
sure because
yeah.
Cruz का वर्ल्ड कप भी है Cruz की इतने सारे चैंपियंस लीग्स हैं एक
Modric has a
ट्रेबल है
Ballon d'Or. It's too tough, man. It's very tough.
and Modric has a fucking Ballon d'Or he's
Yeah,
right and has a World Cup final has the World
and he
Cup
carried that team. He
best
carried that
player of the
team,
World
not to
Cup
forget.
trophy.
Yeah, he carried the Croatian team,
Yeah, he was the
not
best
to
player of
forget.
the World Cup.
Honestly, it
He
feels
won
like
4
Cruz
Champions
is
League.
calling
He's
out
won God knows
Modric to
like
be
3 or 4
partnered
leagues with
along him.
Real.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
It's
just
sort of
take
his
it,
head.
man.
Yeah,
You look. We've like I said earlier, there are certain Real Madrid players who are just there because they won 4 trophies.
These
These
are
two are not
Are not
no,
those
them.
absolutely
players.
Yeah,
not.
they're not them.
Absolutely not.
They deserve to be there.
On that note, yeah,
Move on.
move on. Yeah, Cruz and
All right, the
Modric.
front three.
The
Let's so we're
So
going with
two
Salah,
positions
Hazard,
are
and
useless.
Romelu Lukaku,
No, bro.
Salah,
If
Hazard,
he
My
Romelu
knows
front
how
three.
Lukaku.
Oh,
to
no.
negotiate.
Come on, man. Front
okay,
three
okay.
of front
If we
three of
have the
Pedro,
time,
Mkhitaryan, and Eden Zeko. The Roma front three.
And Papi Cisse for scoring 2 goals at
Okay, now
Chelsea
we're
at
doing what
Stamford
Ed
Bridge.
Woodward does.
okay. But the while the answers are obvious, I think it still merits a discussion because I think while we're discussing, we get into the second and third options, and those are probably more interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
See, okay,
So
one
on the
thing.
right,
Well, no,
Messi.
we'll start with the striker because
yeah,
I
that's
think
where
anyone
it's a
watching
little
this video knows who is going to be on the left and right.
तो
Yeah.
वो
We'll
पहले
have
बता देते हैं ना. So
Hmm.
we'll say that and we'll just have a finalized discussion on the striker.
Perfect.
On the
Yeah.
right, Messi. On the left, Cristiano. If you guys have an issue, please talk to the rest of the footballing world.
Yeah.
Now.
No, but if do we have time to just discuss these positions a
Yeah,
little
We
bit?
have all the time in
bro,
the
for
world, yeah.
sure. If you want to make an attempt.
So here's the hypothetical. It's
You
pretty
don't
obvious
start
it's
with
Messi and
Salah. You can
Ronaldo.
start with
No,
somebody
no, no,
else.
no. I'm
But
not starting with
Mane, he's
Salah.
Mane.
I'm saying take these two guys out. Who would you have in that position instead? I'm not saying it
Oh,
should be Salah or
that's
Mane, but
interesting. That's interesting.
let's at least explore the options.
A loss. That is what I'll have.
I see no one's prepared for this.
See, I think left
No,
wing.
I am. I'm
Left
not
winger.
kidding.
I'm going with Neymar. For all the
Yeah,
Arjen
I'd go with
Robben.
Neymar too.
Arjen
Uh,
Robben.
I think.
Arjen Robben on the right. Yeah, I think that would be my left and right. Vijay, interested to chip in?
Hazard.
I mean,
Hazard.
yeah.
I
Hazard,
actually
yeah.
like Hazard on the left.
Beautiful.
More than
I
Neymar.
want to say Hazard, but like the Real Madrid shit hasn't worked out so phenomenally bad
We're not even
without him.
talking about Real Madrid.
I think that's a very small part of his decade, right? But
Yeah.
for a good part of the decade,
Yeah.
every time you watch Hazard, you
No,
think
but
we wish we had that player
it's
in
like
the
watching
side,
your
right?
son fail after you've taken care of him. Like he's become this kind of like things aren't working out for him. You've taken care of
Yeah,
him so well. Like
yeah, I
he's
get
the
it.
one player I'd say from Chelsea. We want you to succeed after you leave us. Like unlike Courtois, but you have to take the good with the bad, I suppose. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's not worked out for him.
I'd go Neymar on the left, Salah on the right, and Salah on the right.
Salah.
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
I would never
He-
take out Arjen Robben from the team, bro. Come on.
I'll
man.
tell you why.
You
I'll
can't.
tell you why. I'll tell you why.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
साला ने
let me
कितना किया 3 साल खेला इस decade यार.
hold on. I'll tell you why. Robin's peak was for the first 3 or 4 seasons at the start of this decade. Champions
Robben's
League
peak
winner.
was till the day he left
Let
Bayern
me
Munich,
let
my
me
friend.
let me. Yeah.
I'll not.
He won the Champions League, right? He was one of the best goal scorers that season. On the other hand, Salah, tail end of the decade, best Premier League goal scoring season ever, 32 goals in a season, right?
In a
Champions
38
League
game
winner
season, yes.
in a 38 game season, fair enough. Um, Champions League winner, scores goals that remind you of Robin. So, I mean, honestly, I would pick him over Iron Robin. As much as I love Iron Robin, I think Salah gets
You don't love
underrated a
Robin.
lot. I do. Ask Kushagra.
Yeah. Just
He
kidding.
knows.
Just
He's the
kidding.
Bayern fan, bro. He's
Yeah,
the Bayern
I
fan.
get it. I'm just kidding.
Bayern
But
appreciator.
Yeah.
I get it. But you know what? That thing about Robin, you know what he's going to do. He's going to cut in from that right side, and
But he still
every
do it.
defender knows what he does, but can't do shit about it. It's one of the great things about Robin, isn't it?
It's an amazing trick. I'd agree
Indeed,
with that.
it's
Yeah.
absolutely astounding for me. Yeah,
Arjen Robben was a scourge. He was a
Yeah.
scourge, but he was a
He was
lovely
that cheat
bastard.
code player in FIFA that wasn't,
Yeah.
Messi or Ronaldo.
But just before we move on, about the left wing pick, I do think Neymar, he was supposed to be the player of this decade, but it's been so underwhelming.
yeah.
I
In terms of if you look at that, people maximizing the talents, him and Pogba
Yeah.
will be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a question for all of you. Do you guys think, had he not left for PSG and remained at Barcelona,
Yes. Yes.
the left wing
Yes.
would have, I mean, obviously Ronaldo eventually would
Yes.
have made it. I think so, but we
We
would have
would
made a
have picked
stronger
Ronaldo
case.
as a striker. We would have picked Ronaldo as a striker, put Neymar on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
We
that's a
wouldn't
thing.
Lewandowski, which he is now come into the discussion, won't really be a discussion because if you're taking between Ronaldo and Lewandowski for your
No,
number
no, no,
nine,
absolutely
there's
not.
only one man I'm picking. So
Obviously.
But with Neymar, I think it's tragic. Like
Yeah.
he was supposed to be, and he has the skill to be one of the best players in the world all
but
time.
Sushil यार अपना career का भी तो ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. What is this? Like seriously, he agitated
Like,
for the move to go to PSG. No
yeah,
one
yeah.
did for him. He already had Neymar. Sorry, he had Messi and Suarez there at their peak. Yeah, had he stayed
Such
for 4 more
poor.
years, they would have won. They would have split the 4 Champions Leagues between themselves.
I agree. I think, yeah, I agree.
That one season when they won the treble. That trio was so scary, man. Like they scored like 140 goals,
MSN.
120 goals, something between them.
And
Yeah.
they used to win
Insane.
despite their
Insane.
coaches, not in spite of their coaches. So
Uh,
that is the insane thing
Luis
that
Enrique.
Barcelona team
Sorry to
had.
say, Luis Enrique is the luckiest treble winner. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
It
but
is.
among all the
That's
treble
a
winners.
very strange statement. Oh, I accidentally won these 3 trophies.
No, if you see, there are 12 managers in European history who won trebles. I can name all of them, but that's a different story. But you look at all the players, they didn't have that good a
Yeah,
front
yeah.
three. No one. And
No one
Iniesta
had
and
that.
Xavi
Yeah.
behind. And not
Even
Xavi, but
Hansi Flick
yeah,
doesn't have that kind of team now.
absolutely not. Yeah, that was
Anyway,
insane.
so
Only in that sense.
But Messi,
alternative
Ronaldo,
left
Yeah,
and right,
Messi
or
Ronaldo.
yeah,
yeah,
Messi, Ronaldo. Come on, guys. I
Basically,
mean,
we've just
are we
wasted
Okay,
10
so
minutes for that.
like
yeah.
outside of those two, who
Yeah,
can we
Yeah,
bring into the discussion?
yeah.
yeah.
We
We
have
tried.
Lewandowski.
Oh, as a striker.
Uh-huh.
So the ones that I would give is Lewandowski. I would definitely put Suarez
Suarez,
there.
Aguero.
I would put Zlatan there. I
Ibra.
would put Harry Kane. Can we put Harry Kane? He's been there.
Not for
Aguero,
me.
man.
Not for me.
Aguero is ahead of.
Lukaku.
Aguero is ahead of.
I am
Kane.
pretty sure Harry Kane's played more matches this decade than Sergio Aguero. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Because
But he hasn't
Aguero is
won
just
jack shit
so
for it.
Yeah, Aguero.
I'm not saying
How many crucial
winning.
moments
I'm
did he
not talking
score
about
goals?
He's
winning.
like
I think
Peter
I'm
that
saying,
Pan.
matters.
He just
do we
keeps leading the
consider
lost boys on
do we
adventures.
consider someone like Sergio Aguero?
Yeah, obviously.
If
I
you want to
mean,
consider Harry Kane,
Injured.
definitely
all
Aguero.
of Aguero's, most of his Manchester City career is this
All of
decade.
his Man City things.
Yeah, why would you not include him?
Chalo, theek hai, okay. We'll include him in the discussion.
Yeah,
Who else?
So much
Diego Costa,
hatred for the man who gave you the most painful moment of your life.
that falls in this decade.
That
No,
was
Yeah.
that was his
For me, it
uncle,
would be.
There's
For
so
Sushil.
me, it
many
would be.
painful moments.
And we don't
bro.
talk about that anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
2012
yes.
overall was a shit year, wasn't it? Chelsea winning the Champions League at the end, City winning the Premier League at the end. So it was a pretty crappy year to be.
I know. I felt so shit at the end of that year. You have no
Yeah,
idea.
man. I think I don't
Anyway.
know. I keep thinking about
Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
Okay. So I'm sort of stuck between Lewandowski and Suarez. I know Suarez makes a much stronger case, and it's not like Lewandowski has come in to discuss. I wouldn't agree with that. I think his Lewandowski's peak legit in the 11-12 season. Can we not? How can we forget that he scored? He's
Bro,
banged.
Lewandowski fired them to a title.
Exactly.
Fired them to a final, lost
Yeah.
the final, fired this team to title after title after title after title without
Brilliant.
fighting people, without being a racist bastard, without actually, without creating all the kinds of controversies that he did,
Yeah.
and without trying to cheat on his Italian exam as well. So all of that, and also Robert Lewandowski is a bloody. I don't know. Like he's
a
been
genius.
the best in the Bundesliga for 10 years now.
Without a debate.
Genius. He's a genius. You watch his Leva is most humble. I'm not sure. So I really enjoyed yesterday. Bayern lost actually being 2-0.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Shout out to Mönchengladbach there.
Fabulous.
But beyond that, I mean, Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah, Lewandowski. I actually would be sliding towards Lewandowski, but again, uh, there are a lot of people who tell if you want to consider him. Why? I mean, do not put all the other factors into it. Look at Suarez, just the footballer that he is, and look what he's done in that season with Liverpool. Look what he's done with Barcelona. That is absolutely magnificent. And yeah, personally, for the very reasons that you've
But
mentioned, I am going with Lewandowski. I would
my only
still
counter
fight
to
for
that to
Lewandowski.
anyone who says Suarez is
Yeah,
Lewandowski has done everything that Suarez has done and more. That is my
Yeah.
only counterpoint. If he's
yeah,
won a treble, Lewandowski's won a treble.
yeah.
If he's been a top scorer in a team which is not the most fancy team in the league, Lewandowski was the top scorer in the team which is not the most fancy
And
team
won
and
the
won the
title.
league. Yeah. So, and if you're talking about him forming an incredible partnership with people around him, Lewandowski is one of the best holder play strikers I've ever seen. So, I mean, yeah, Vijay,
Sushil, yeah, Vijay, whatever.
No, no,
Who-
Sushil, go ahead.
we will
Obviously.
come to
Okay.
Sushil at the end because there's going to be a Luis Suarez there.
Yeah.
Yeah, go first, Vijay.
No, no, no. I want to hear what
This.
you
Oh.
have to say.
Okay. So, I knew it would eventually come down to these two guys, right? So I was just looking at their stats, trying to figure out if there's anything that separates them. It's interesting. This is unfortunately not over the last decade, it's the entire career, but you can assume that's more or less the last decade. Um, Lewandowski has 610 games, 434 goals. Suarez has 631 games, very close. 412 goals, also very close. So
Yeah.
there's nothing
Yeah.
that separates them on goal scoring as much.
Yeah.
But the thing that stands out to me is if you look at assists,
Assist. Yeah.
Lewandowski has 126. Suarez has double of that. He has
Yeah.
240. So I think in a lot of ways, and this is actually, it's good I checked this because this comes back to what I was thinking earlier. I think Suarez has a lot more, what's the term, like arrows to your
Selfless.
bow. No, he's a more complete footballer. I
Yeah,
think
agreed, agreed.
Lewandowski is deadly in the box, right? He's an excellent goal
Unbelievable.
scorer. But I think Suarez is maybe not as good a goal scorer, although the numbers say otherwise. But he's also someone who links up the play, someone who provides assists. So in that sense, I think particularly in a team where I know this team is not actually going to play together, but in a team where you already have Ronaldo and Messi, I don't think goals is going to be a problem.
Yeah, you will need
So
someone like Suarez. For the team, you will need
yeah,
someone like Suarez. I agree with you.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
just
that's a good point.
talking
So
about like
so
No,
so
look at
that's
that
why I'd go
shady.
with
even
Suarez.
Look at
Sushil,
that
Sushil, for me,
shady
what
smile.
goes
He
against
knows he's
Suarez?
wrong.
Sorry,
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
you saying?
He has such a shady smile. He knows he's wrong. He says to Sushil.
No, I'm saying, see, Sushil, the only counterpoint that anyone who's going to nominate Lewandowski can put here is where are the 2 years that Suarez had those down 2 years that Lewandowski did? He didn't.
Mm,
Yeah.
Suarez did have 2 years. He went an entire year without scoring. I think at home or away or something like that in the league at Barca.
you mean recently?
Yes, from
Yeah. Very recently,
2018 to
18,
2020,
I
he
think.
was
He did
horrible.
not score away from
Okay.
home. Yeah. Something like
And
that. I can't
he went
confirm
like
it right now.
30, 40 Champions League games without scoring in the Champions League. Like, not I have the number wrong, but
I
he
mean,
went
I don't have
more
those
than
numbers, so I can't
more
really
than
comment
20
on
more
that.
than 20 games. He did go like 3 seasons without scoring in the Champions League up until I think
And he
last
broke
season,
that
the
streak at
season
Old
before
Trafford,
this.
didn't he?
Yeah, I think he broke
Yeah.
that streak at Old
Precisely. Yeah.
Trafford. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there are lapses in times that maybe Lewandowski's edged ahead of him.
Should we
I
just
cannot
say
disagree with you that Suarez is a
fuck the
better
both of them
footballer.
and put Benzema in there?
No,
No,
man,
No.
come on.
I
The
hate.
I'm
standard
just kidding.
is
Sorry.
not that high.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. The
Vijay.
only Benzema goal I remember is the one he scored when he was on the right hand side and dribbled through the entire
Yeah.
Atletico defense. That's the only memorable goal of his I remember, which is not the case for
There are a
Lewandowski and
couple of
And
Suarez.
scissor
Suarez.
kicks and couple of overheads as well.
Nah.
But
From
Leva
time
and
to time.
Anyway,
Suarez, they have stepped up in much more bigger games, haven't they?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vijay, for you to
Um.
round off.
Well, honestly, I'm going with Lewandowski. It's it's just too obvious for me. And the only reason I take away, like, to add to what Kushagar said, Lewandowski never seems to have that bad season, and I think Suarez had Messi as a best friend and a striking partner for him to get all those assists, right?
Do
So
we do Vijay? If you could also talk about Ibra as well. If you continue with the Suarez
yeah,
discussion.
sure. I mean, that's actually what I was going to talk about. Like, so you've talked about the gods, you've talked about the superhumans, and I would like to talk about humans who are doing extraordinary things. And yeah, because
Yeah,
think about it. Think about it.
yeah.
For
Oh
me, it's
God.
Beautiful.
Diego Costa and people like Diego Costa and Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Alpha.
I think when I was like one of my early footballing memories is like just learning about the legend of Zlatan was not even that whole pompous, pricky, I'm God and the Jesus is everything, but just the like I would just ask my friends who knew about football like questions like, okay, so he went to this club, he won the league, yeah, and then he went to this club, oh, and
He
then he
won it
won the
there as
league
well.
there,
Yeah.
and then he went, and this was like just 5 years of his career, and he's just kept doing this. Like he's like John Wick or like some kind of mercenary you send to destroy hopes of other
Like the neon.
teams,
Yeah.
If
and
he wins the league this year, it's just gonna be unreal.
This
It
is.
is
I think this is going to be unreal if he
unbelievable.
does it. Yeah.
and
He almost did it with United with a crappy
I
team
know
like
I
United.
wanted
Can
to
you
bring
believe it?
that up, but in a
Yeah.
much different way than you
Yeah.
did, Anurag.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the only reason I actually hated the fact that he went to United, and I hated it even further when it was because of Mourinho he went to United. So it was like a double backstab. Because a year before when we needed an Ibra, Jackass could, oh no, I'm too comfortable in my little France. So uh, no, but anyway, I'm just saying, testament to Ibrahimovic.
Oh.
He's been he's been doing it for so long, and I think of people who dismiss it as just being some sort of fake.
A
I
PR
think it's
monster.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think he shows it and proves it in the training ground and on the pitch. So
Yeah, man.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a goal monster. Is a
A
mongrel.
fact
It's
that he went to US, he made US people watch football.
Yeah, yeah, and
You
like
can't beat
that's
that.
all
And
secondary because he
no,
Yeah.
backs it
my
up. He's
point is,
been
He
backing it
backs with
up
the goals.
for
You remember
years.
the first game he played for LA, he scored a hat trick. LA were 3-1 down, they won it fourth. The first game he played, and he kept that going.
He
Insane.
is he's that winning mentality
Yeah,
like packaged
elite.
with that striker, and he
Yeah,
makes people better. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the team.
I mean,
And
honestly,
uh-huh,
while I agree with everything you say,
uh-huh.
I I don't think Ibra is. I don't think his peak was this decade, right? Like his peak was sort of at the turn of the decade,
he was
but
breaking
since the,
Champions League records with PSG as well.
My point is it's
I
not
mean,
I think he meant I'm not talking about my choice. I'm actually talking about being a mention in this decade, and I think that is something that he definitely deserves.
I think
um
definitely the third name.
and
Uh,
yeah,
you brought up also, how Modric broke up the dichotomy of,
yeah,
I would
people
say
expected him to do
that
so, right?
Atletico team that broke up the dichotomy of Barca and
Madrid,
Madrid. I think those players. I think you mentioned Godin right earlier. Then there was who
Koke,
else?
Sal.
I think now Suarez. Okay, no.
Uh,
I think Diego Costa also should get a mention because one is there's nobody as hated as him. I mean, just for like the fact that I'm not saying as a striker,
Look
as
at
just
the
a footballer to
continuous.
be hated. Like, that's my USP, not a winning mentality. Just like I will be the lightning rod for this team so that all these four defenders are pissed off at me at the same time. You guys go score goals when they're distracted. I think there was one game against Arsenal where it was just beautiful to watch. It was just
he
he did
bullies people.
everything
Yeah,
wrong. Yeah, he was, and if I wasn't a Chelsea fan, I would be swearing at his mum and his dad for consummating their marriage. But it's that I just love that guy because he's on my side. So it's just that. But yeah, it's Lewandowski for me.
so is it Lewandowski?
I had to give humans a chance, but yeah,
Yeah,
go with the super ones.
yeah.
Ah, So we've got what, 3 Lewandowskis and one
Suarez,
Suarez, yeah.
Lewandowski.
Sorry, bro.
It's
Sorry,
okay.
bro.
Like I said,
Yeah.
another player, not pissed that he's there. I think either
Yeah.
one would have worked for me.
Yeah, precisely.
So basically, if I can recite the 11 from memory, it is Mal Neuer in goal, Philip Lahm at the right, Marcelo at the left, Sergio Ramos and Giorgio Chiellini in the centre halves, the holding midfielder being N'Golo Conte,
Yeah.
the two centre mids being Kroos and
And
Modric,
Modric, yeah.
the three attackers being Messi on the right, Leva up top, and Ronaldo on the left. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have it,
Amazing.
chaps.
It's
We have
amazing.
agreed.
It's amazing how there's only one Barcelona player in there.
Yeah,
It's
I was
fine.
just
It's
thinking
totally
that.
fine. And it is the
But it
obvious
really
one.
hasn't been Barcelona's decade, has it?
Individually
I think
not,
the
I would
last
say,
decade
yeah.
I
was the
mean,
decade, isn't it?
I would
and
I
they
would
won
blame
the same number of
Neymar partly
Champions
for it.
Leagues. Yeah.
I would blame
Yeah.
Neymar partly for it.
No,
They would have had
the
4.
thing is that magic has gone from Barcelona. I think the fact that they surrendered the
Recently.
title once.
Recently.
Yeah, so
But
but you
No.
can't accuse Bayern.
No. I think honestly, I think ever since that right after the moment they won the treble, I think they've been I mean they've been good, not to the extent Real Madrid were.
yeah. And
That's my point. Yeah.
think about I mean that's a separate discussion. I don't want
Yeah.
to go in that direction.
Do we
Let's
even
wrap
take
it
a
up.
stab at the manager of the decade, or should we just let be?
We
As
can.
in
We
mid to
can. I'd like to.
I'd like
I'd
to.
like
Yeah.
to.
Uh,
Yeah.
so the options that I will lay out for you guys here, they've already been laid out as the
Oh
KBC
God.
goes on. Vijay, so Mourinho, all right,
Mm.
on reputation more than performance. Mourinho, Guardiola, Conte, Allegri, Leo, Joachim Low. Do we put him? He's just had one outstanding contribution in the decade. Like,
By the way,
he's been pretty crap after that.
Mourinho gets cut out because we said starting after the 2010 season, 9-10 season,
So he's
Yeah.
basically not even
treble
had
out.
a Champions League
Yeah,
final.
yeah.
So yeah. All right. So anyway, I'll repeat the list. So I'll take Mourinho and Joachim Low out. We have Guardiola, Conte, Allegri, Deschamps. Again, Deschamps, I won't put him there. It's again
One.
one outlier. I find it hard to put international managers in unless you're doing something like what
Yeah.
Del Bosque did.
Hmm.
Which ended Del Bosque did like 8, 10, 12. Then of course,
Correct.
And honestly,
Correct.
Deschamps was too defensive with the quality of players, and that's a different
Deschamps
discussion.
actually prohibited that France team.
Yeah. Again, let's have a discussion
Maybe
another
there's
day.
no because of that prohibition. I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Klopp, Ancelotti, Simeone, Zidane, Emma Hayes. Of course, Emma Hayes should be in the discussion there with Chelsea, of course. If we purely looking at the club coaches, guys, or are we making a distinction between club and international?
No,
let's look at
anyone
purely
is
club
fine.
coaches.
Yeah.
All right. Guardiola, Klopp, Conte, Allegri, Ancelotti, Zidane, Simeone, Deschamps, Low, Mourinho.
Oh, that's,
It's tricky. I mean, the
Are we
three.
missing
The,
out on anyone? Is my question.
Bayern.
yep, Heinix, but
yeah, Heinkes. No.
Heinix, no.
No,
Again,
Heinz is
one major
basically
achievement.
one season,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
One
Same
thing.
with
For
Luis
me,
Enrique. Yeah.
it's between three people. It's between Guardiola, it's between Zidane and Simeone. One of those three.
Not Klopp.
Simeone, not Klopp, because I think again he has the same issue as Van
Look at him
Dijk
not
and
smile
Trent.
shadily. Look.
So he believes his point now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make an argument for Klopp.
I love the psychoanalysis that you're doing here, Vijay. Like, it's
I
beautiful.
watched too much of Lie to Me.
I can make an argument for Klopp. I think he has revived the fortunes of a team that was not doing well for 2 decades.
Yeah.
He's
Not to forget
been-
his outstanding work with Dortmund.
Correct. So in that sense, he's up there. The reason why I rate Guardiola higher this decade than him, despite him not winning any Champions League, I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that people don't take into account is how dominant Guardiola's teams have been in the league.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at the 10 years we're looking at, right? Guardiola's won the league in what, 6, 7, 8 of them? 6, 7 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And he's won them by a lot. He set points records in each of those leagues, and that's why I'd have him there. But if he had topped that with the Champions League this decade,
That
then
would have
it
been an
would be out
obvious
of the
choice.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
but then he
But
hasn't.
I
just
think
a
he has
question.
a Champions League to his credit. If you because 2011 was the time when he won it with Barcelona, so he actually has one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Then yeah, I'm going with Guardiola.
Look at this
Pep
bricks
Guardiola.
crumbling.
Yeah.
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 Sorry.
That's a good
I
point.
mean,
It just hit me that he did win the Champions League
He
and
does
like,
have. That's what
oh
I was going to
yeah.
mention.
So yeah.
But
yeah.
another question to you guys: do we Antonio Habas has 3 ISL titles? Yes, great. Great. We're coming to leagues as Sushil mentions. If we actually take a look at how dominant his teams were, do we take that as a parameter? Because if two managers have won like 3 leagues each over the decade, and one of them has been cantering over the rest of the league just because they're the best team in the league. Let's not forget, Sushil, that he always took over the best teams in the league. Let's not. I mean,
including
I
Manchester
am
City.
no Guardiola. I'm no
Okay,
Guardiola
okay.
hater.
Let me destroy that argument.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree that with
Bayern
There
Munich
are.
weren't the best team in the league when he took over. Bayern
Hold
Munich
on.
weren't the best team. Is my only question.
He took Klopp's
He's managed
players.
three. He has managed 3 teams this decade, right? Bayern
अरे
Munich
यार
were
तो
the
आप
best team in the league.
2011 गिन रहे हैं
Can I,
सिर्फ
look,
2008 से
either
11
listen
गिन
to my
रहे हैं
argument
this is
or
vegetable
don't.
market, guys. Chill.
अच्छा तो बोल
Yeah. My point is, right? I agree. He always takes over the best teams in the league. Just forget the Champions League for a second. But he always takes those teams to the next level, right? People don't look at it that way, but he did take that Bayern Munich team to the next level. And if you talk to the players in the Bayern Munich team, even till this date, they owe a lot of their development to him. Same at Man City. I think Champions League is a whole other story, which is why I was discounting him in the first place. Then Anurag
But
reminded me
player
that he won.
development, yeah.
Player development, taking them to the next level, and just the quality of the players he's managed over the years, right?
Just another
Um,
point to add to that. Look at what
yeah,
he's made of Raheem Sterling,
yeah. I mean, Raheem Sterling is not. Of
the
course,
player
last
that.
season was garbage, but
Yeah.
before that, molding young players, that's what a coach is supposed to do. And since we're talking about the best coach, I'd go with Guardiola more
all
so
right
than
Was
Zidane.
I the
I
only
think
one who was surprised
Zidane,
to see Guardiola
Zidane,
wearing pants? Yeah.
I think Zidane had more of a winning team handed to him than Guardiola ever has. Oh
yeah, I
wow,
mean I'm not fighting on behalf of Zidane as
yeah.
actually as actually going to circle back to Pep. I just feel like he gets a lot of praise already, and I don't want to
No,
give him more praise right now.
I actually think
Yeah.
he gets a lot more criticism than he gets praise.
Misunderstood.
Yeah,
Right, I
but
mean,
anyway.
Tomato,
putting different
tomato.
ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum there. I mean, you cannot do not want to get. I think we so did we give it to Guardiola?
No. I choose Zidane, hands down.
See, Zidane
Well,
also won the league title
Same.
after Ronaldo left.
no, okay. For the
That was a
simple
big
fact,
achievement.
it's a very. I mean, I'm not thinking of it too hard. Look at our squad. Our squad are 11 of the best players in the world, and yes,
You
Guardiola
need
would do
someone who
it.
can manage egos.
Yeah, and I think the only one who's done something like that and
Oh,
convincingly for a
fantastic
long
point.
time
It
has
helps that
been.
half the team is Real Madrid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
you guys,
Basically, his players.
and I think it also helps that he's
and Messi.
bald.
Yeah, both of them are bald.
I'm sure
Yeah,
Messi liked Zidane.
but
I
only
don't
one
think
of
Messi
them
would
is
have
a
disliked
fraud,
Zidane was
Sushil.
Only
So
when he fucks up
Okay.
my FPL.
there.
Yeah.
So as Zidane it
Anurag,
is.
is it?
it's not that obvious because when you ask what does a Zidane team look like outside of Real Madrid, what the hell do you
No
even
clue.
say?
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why I feel Sushil's Pep Guardiola argument is much stronger.
Yeah, I mean,
But
Pep Guardiola is a definitely well-known manager, well endowed, I don't know,
endowed, I
Well,
don't
in
know.
doubt.
yeah,
I
in
have
terms
no
of
clue.
knowledge. Oh my God, not what's in his
Oh,
pants. God.
okay.
Oh, this is
But
fun.
I honestly think sometimes like how does Zidane manage egos? He's just like, guys.
Like, guys, Go check out the 2002 Champions League
Go
final
to
and
YouTube.
suck it.
Go to YouTube and suck it. Then after that, go to the 1998 World Cup final and suck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you need that, but what are the other names there, right? There are definitely people. I think Mourinho's out.
Conte, I don't know if I
Mourinho
can
is
take Conte.
definitely out.
Mourinho's out.
Out
Conte's
long
out.
time.
Allegri.
Allegri's out.
Yeah, he's out.
No,
But let's just look at managers who can manage this level
Pirlo
of
are
players.
out.
Can we just go from
in
there?
that regard, yeah.
Ancelotti is the only one I can think of. Who
Ancelotti,
can manage.
See,
yeah.
see.
Ancelotti can.
Yeah. Also, adding to Zidane, I mean, Vijay's point, uh, you don't really need the best possible coach for this sort of a level, don't you? Like, I get the point that,
Yeah,
Player
have we?
development is
My
not
only question
required.
is:
yeah,
are we picking a manager for this 11? Or are we picking the best manager of the decade?
Manager of the decade.
Yeah,
okay, okay,
then that all of that doesn't
It's like
because
pointless,
this
right?
11 has
yeah,
no
it's pointless.
consonants
Because
of
it's not an award
tracking
ceremony.
back or
Yeah,
impressing. There are all of them are individual players, bro.
yeah,
You'll have a good midfield, but nothing ahead. Like you'll
point,
have to pull them like हाथ पकड़ के लेके आना पड़ेगा मेसी और रोनाल्डो पीछे.
point. So Pep Guardiola it is.
I would think Pep would
Yeah,
have to take this.
just give an
So
announcement
much
and end the video. It's
pain in
been too
his
long. Yeah,
eyes.
yeah.
No, the guy is a
I don't.
genius.
Yeah, well,
Just say
well,
Pep and end it.
yeah, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't have given it to Pep if it were up to me, but I think
But there's just two. Is that are we stuck with Zidane and Guardiola and
I think we've
Ancelotti?
gone with
But there's
Guardiola.
not
I
one
think
much.
we are giving Guardiola the deciding vote, isn't it?
Oh,
78 minutes of the video. Beautiful,
beautiful.
boys.
A few
Speak
more
it,
minutes.
bro.
We're in for a 90-minute.
We have 2 minutes, right? Assistant manager, go for it.
Man.
Yeah,
Also, the medical team in charge. Who is that person? Mourinho
Eva
kicked out.
Carnia.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's round it off
Okay,
then.
fine.
Let's
Yeah,
announce
perfect.
the winners.
One final time. Just the
Announce the
team.
winners. So
Just the team and
for the
the
final
manager.
time, the team is Manuel Neuer is in goal. Our formation is 4-3-3. We've got Philipp Lahm and Marcelo as the right back and the left backs. The two centre halves, we've got Sergio Ramos and Giorgio Chiellini. The midfield, we've gone for a one holding midfield and two central midfielders ahead of him. So we've got N'Golo Kante holding, Toni Kroos and Luka Modric as the two midfielders ahead of him. The front three practically selected itself. We had a slight debate for the striker, but eventually we went for Robert Lewandowski as the striker, the current best player in the world. We have Lionel Messi, of course, on the right, and we've got Cristiano Ronaldo on the left. So that's our team, and the manager we've gone with is Pep Guardiola. So I don't think there can be that much of a debate with that team
Yeah.
and the manager as well. So
Maybe the
I think
midfield
all of us
options,
have
but yeah,
taken the
I
safe
think it's
route,
beautiful. Yeah,
right? It was a par 5, and we hold it in 7.
Yeah.
Fine. Just a double bogey, not bad.
yeah.
All right then. Thank you so much. It's already been almost an hour and a half of us chatting away. So thank you so much for joining me here, Vijay, Sushil, and of course Anurag. For everything
I'm not
around
sure
the
we will
Premier
be
League, I
able
know
to make
since
it
you're
until
listening-
this part of the video. I hope we do, but chalo.
Chalo. Chalo. Keep it locked, this Sports Join for everything, every news and every update around the Premier League. And this is